I know you have been enjoying the last section a lot, and these DOM manipulation and their projects, I get it. They are so much fun that you keep on doing it and you want to do more projects in that. But we need to move ahead and try to learn more things about JavaScript. But all I can say is not promise, but I will try to add a couple of more such fun projects so that you can get more practice. But those sections will be later on added at Learn Code Online in the JavaScript course. Of course, it's going to remain free. There are no charges for this particular course, but I cannot add it later on the YouTube playlist because it just messes up with the flow and everything. So in case you are interested, I will try to upload them at Learn Code Online. If you don't want to watch it or go there, it's totally fine, totally on you. Okay. Coming back, now we need to discuss a little bit more about the in-depth of JavaScript, and we want to talk about objects. And I have named this folder specifically as not advanced because these are not advanced feature. These are just basics. It's like I haven't covered them yet, or I have skipped them knowingly, willingly, because I didn't want you to get confused. Now you have a lot of confidence in yourself for JavaScript. That's why we are going up here. So I have moved all the folders, all the projects into this project-zipped so that I can give you later on, and we're into this object. Now notice very carefully, I'm going to go on to this previous project. Just open up the console wherever or whatever the website, it doesn't really matter. So what I want you to do is I want you to create an object here. Let's call this object as LCO. Feel free to call it anything. And how do we create an object? We use directly a curly braces, and inside here we give some of the properties. Let's just say I'm going to give a property of name, and the name is Hitesh. Okay, and just hit enter. You're going to get an undefined. That's totally okay. Now let's just type LCO and we're going to hit enter. There we go. Now you see that name is being given to you. But what's most important and where you should be focusing if you want to really understand these objects, and trust me, JavaScript is all about object. The more you understand this keyword and more you understand about objects, things are going to get much more clear. So if I open this up, I get a single property here name because my object holds a single property, but I have this something known as proto, but it's not actually a proto, it's an underscore underscore proto. It's not a single underscore, and we got again underscore underscore after it, which is an object. If I expand this further, it has much more properties inside it. It has constructor, has its own property, is prototype of, and there is a get and set, which are also known as getters and setters. If I open up this constructor, I have again further whole lot of properties. Now these are really one of the advanced features on them. But what you can notice, all of these constructor and everything are saying F in front of them. This F actually stands for functional object or function object. And you can see it has arguments, you can assign things, and a whole bunch of things is going on, which we really don't understand. So how we can take advantage of this, and what is this F keyword? Why is it even here? I have never defined a function, so how come this object is still considered as kind of functional? Now, yes, this is interlaced of variety of things in the JavaScript and objects. So don't get confused. We will be working on them, not in that much of depth, but enough that you understand what's going on. So moving back onto our code editor with that specific knowledge that yes, there was a constructor, there is a prototype and something. Now let's assume a simple scenario. So far we have seen that every single time I want to create an object, I am giving user, then I'm saying first name, last name. Every single property is something that I am assigning to it, which is not usually the case. Let's get a case of Learn Code Online. Every time a new user is signed up or gets a sign up on the website, there are some properties that I want to assign to them. What's their first name, last name? Are they signed up with Google or not? How many course count are there in their account? And probably some bunch more as well. I cannot manually go ahead and define them, so I need to create a kind of a prototype there that should follow that every single user gets up, these properties should be filled up, as well as the most important thing is it should be a unique user in itself. It's not like your course account and my courses should get matched up. So every time a new instance should be created. So for that, what we do is we can go ahead and create a simple user. Notice here the uppercase U. Is it compulsory? No, not at all. But it is recommended that when you are creating such prototypes, you actually go ahead and use an uppercase letter. Recommended, feel free to just dishonor it. Okay, now we simply go ahead and say function. Now inside this function, this is the function definition, there is nothing extraordinary in this function so far. It's just a regular function. Now, as soon as this new function is being called, it expects you to all the properties that you're going to give. For example, probably first name, course count, and maybe more, that whatever the properties you want to give, you just mention it there. What confuses a lot of people is the next line. We go inside this in here, just like this. And instead of defining new variables or something like that, we call something like this. This dot first name is going to be equal to first name. Not only that, we're going to put up a semicolon and we're going to come up, say this dot course count is going to be equal to course count. And this is the most confusing statement for people. Hey, what is going on? Where is this property even mentioned? And this one is this one. Okay, I get that. And this course count is exactly this course count. But what is this left-hand side part? How this is going on? Now, this is one of the other way of defining objects. Yes, it's very troublesome, but this is how we define objects. This is a functional approach of defining the object, and that is the recommended way of doing it. And that's why you see all these inside these prototypes, all these functionals up here. Now there is a constructor here as well. Now just a side hint from which you're going to use in almost all programming language. Whenever there is a constructor involved, usually there is a new keyword involved, and which is the title of this video as well. Okay. Now, once you have got this prototype defined, obviously you might want to define some more properties or methods as well. We have been doing this. For example, let's just say we have this dot get course count. Come on, I can write that. This dot get course count, and that is going to be a simple function just like that. And it's going to return, not return, let's console log it. So this is going to have a console log, and it's going to say course count is, and we're going to use a $sign and this. And to access any properties, consider this as an object, not as a function. We use this dot course count. There we go. Okay, this is all we are getting, but this weird function thing is going on. So how we actually take advantage of this? Now, how this actually goes, this is a prototype, almost like a blueprint. Yes, we are getting somewhere like classes, but not exactly. So we have defined this blueprint here, or a prototype for every single user who is going to sign up on my website. So let's just say the first user signs up on my website is myself, Hitesh. And now this is gonna be creating the same. So we can simply go ahead and say user, and whatever the properties we have to pass on, we can pass on. The first name, this is my first name. How many courses I'm having by default? Let's just say 2. Okay. Now there are some problems here that you should see first before we see the accurate version of this particular thing. So I'm gonna just go ahead and run this. Let's go ahead and see what are the issues with this particular code here. If I run this, I get undefined. So I definitely have correct version of my prototype. That's all good. I'm definitely having this all here, but this somehow is not creating an object for me. This function call is pretty nice. It's supposed to be working, that's the way. But the only issue that we are having, if you want to create an object through this functional way, then the new keyword actually kicks in. And this is not only going to create an object for us, this is going to do multiple tasks for it. First, let's just see the output up here, and then we're going to work on it. So when I run this code again with the new keyword, notice a new user is being created for me, and whose properties are like this. So Hitesh is the name of it, and 2 is the course count, and we get this functional anonymous. We don't worry about that. But the advantage of this is I can come here and I'm going to say var. Let's just say Sam is the second user. So I can say new user. And this time the properties that I'm passing up is Sam, and the course count is, let's just say 1. And I try to log this. So I'm going to say log Sam. What happens here is very, very interesting and most useful stuff. So let's go ahead and run this one. And notice here, 2 separate instances of user is created, or simply saying 2 copies of users are being created. First is having the properties that we have set. Second is having totally different properties, but we are still able to use this prototype. Okay, so you get this, that how these situations are being handled here through these functional way of creating the objects. But This new keyword is very teeny tiny keyword, but it does a whole lot of things up here for you. First and foremost, it is responsible for actually using this syntax. That's the one thing. Second thing, this new keyword is responsible for invoking the constructor and creating a unique instance every single time. So no matter how many times you use the new keyword, a new copy of this entire object will be created. That's the job of this new. Now, not only that, it also actually take care of this keyword. Now notice here, I'm using this keyword here. So you might be saying, hey, this is a function, okay, and we got this keyword, and you told us that whenever there is a regular call of functions, this keyword always points towards the window object. And here, it almost looks like a regular call of the function. This is a function being defined up here, and this seems to be a regular call. So if this seems to be a regular call, notice when we didn't use the new keyword, it said undefined, because at that point of time, when you were not using the new keyword, this was a regular function call, and this was pointing towards the window or the global object. In our case, in the case of Node, it was pointing towards the empty object. So that's why nothing was happening. It was saying undefined. As soon as you use this new keyword says, okay, wait a minute, I got some responsibilities towards this function call here. So first and foremost, I'm going to make a copy of this, and I'll also move this keyword from the global object to inside of this user. So yes, I know this is too much to grab at once, but just remember, as soon as you use this new keyword, this is not a regular function call. And when there is not a regular function call, that means this keyword is not going to point towards the window object. So that's why we are able to use this .course count, because now this is actually pointing towards inside of this object. Oh, too much of the information, Hitesh. I get you on that. This is too much going on. But if you do remember, we haven't actually touched yet the proto here. I know this is getting too much. I thought of first covering up all of this in just one video, but I can see, not like literally see, but figuratively, I know this is getting too much. So we're going to break down this video in two parts. This is your new keyword. And the next one, we're going to talk about this proto as well. But let's go ahead and move on to the next video.